I am Corey West, and I am the Chief Accounting Officer here at Oracle, and I'm going to spend a few minutes talking with you about Oracle's journey to the cloud. So it says journey to the ERP cloud, but I'm going to back up a little bit and maybe take a little broader view. There are a number of applications that we run that are kind of integral to our ERP footprint. So starting in 2012, it's kind of when our journey to the cloud commenced, and it began with our implementation of the Sales Cloud. And I'll try and make clear why we think that matters in a few minutes. It was followed up by some edge application implementations in the HR space, and then some application implementations in the marketing space. Our kind of toe in the water in ERP began in 2012 as well with our implementation of Fusion Accounting Hub. So Fusion Accounting Hub is now basically Cloud GL. It's the engine that we use to consolidate. We post to Fusion Accounting Hub, and we've been using Fusion Accounting Hub since 2012 as kind of the cockpit for GL and reporting. We also implemented in 2012, actually 2013, our ERP cloud solution at OFSS. And OFSS is a public company. It's an Indian public company. We own 75% of it. It's 25% publicly owned in India. But it's an ERP company. They sell financial solutions around the globe. They operate internationally. And they basically had the same model that Oracle had at that point in time. So we thought it was a really nice way to see what the applications can do and to get a chance to look at those applications and assess their capability vis-a-vis a broader Oracle rollout. So that was kind of where we kicked off our cloud implementation. Fast forward a few years, 2015 to 17. So the big thing we did first in that time frame was our core HCM Cloud implementation. So we implemented HCM Cloud in 2015. We migrated that to the public cloud in late 2015, along with the implementation of FAH and the ERP cloud for OFSS. So we were running all of that stuff in the public cloud at that point in time. And that was important to us because we really wanted to have the same feel that our customers had with regard to the use of the applications. We wanted to have the same experience. We really didn't want to have a private cloud implementation. We wanted to have a public cloud implementation. So we made that move at that point in time. A couple of other big things happened in that window as well. In the late 2015 timeframe, we implemented CPQ Cloud. And CPQ Cloud, it's Configure, Price, Quote. It's another really pivotal technology for us in our, quote, ERP footprint, because it really it's put us in the position of being able to do touchless automation around our order front end. So with CPQ, in many of our transactions across our entire business, we're able to start with an opportunity in the Sales Cloud, convert that to a quote in CPQ, and assuming that it's a standard order, doesn't require any intervention contractually, it can flow directly to order management and then invoicing and then subsequent collection. So that whole front-end ordering process can be a touchless transaction, and we're trying to drive more and more of our volume into that channel because it's very strategic for us. I mean, obviously, the leverage points you get, the cost per transaction is much, much lower to the extent that we can leverage that capability. And so that's a really pivotal technology. The next thing we did was EPM Cloud, so our planning cloud. Roughly a year we've been on our planning and budgeting cloud. And again, it's been a very beneficial move versus the Hyperion implementation we had on-prem at the time. And then finally, this last December, we went live with ERP Cloud across all of Oracle. Actually, I should say, we went live with ERP Cloud excluding order management and supply chain, which will be coming later in this calendar year. We're going to finish the ERP Cloud implementation, and we're going to finish the supply chain implementation this calendar year. And next calendar year, we'll be moving our business intelligence solutions from on-premise applications into the cloud. So this is kind of a little slightly different depiction of what that footprint looks like today. kind of with the intent of showing what a coexistence environment looks like. The stuff in the boxes where it says Global Corporate Warehouse and e-Business Suite are our on-prem footprints. That's the stuff that's still sitting on-premise as of January. And the stuff in those little clouds are all the things that we're running in the cloud with, what you can see, loosely as the integration points between the on-prem solution and the cloud solutions. So a few comments about some of the benefits we've seen with this, with the implementation. We took the opportunity with the cloud implementation to implement a global chart of accounts. And maybe if I take one step back, Oracle at one point in its history, about 20 years ago, was running 64 different instances of their applications. And just as a result of organic growth, sticking a flag in the ground every time we opened up a new country, we kind of found ourselves in that position. We rationalized that to a global single instance of our applications and a whole bunch of other business process changes that we went through. But in doing that, we still wound up with 32 different transactional charts. We couldn't make the transactional charts of account go away at the point in time that we made this change happen. We mapped them to a global parent chart of account that we use for consolidation reporting, kind of top-side reporting, and other management reporting as well. But at the transactional level, we didn't have a single chart of accounts. Every time we would upgrade the applications, we intended to have a single chart of accounts. We intended to migrate, move to a global single chart, and it was one of the first things that would be de-scoped in every implementation we ever did. And we said to ourselves, we're moving to the cloud, and we're not going to lose this opportunity to move to a global single chart, a global transactional chart. And we didn't. We planned for over 2 years to make that happen. And I would argue that probably one of the biggest chunks of work that we entered into in our whole cloud ERP migration was this. Moving to that global chart took an enormous amount of work by the folks on my team, a lot of effort, and it's paid off. So, what's the big deal about the global chart? Well, again, if you got 32 charts for account at a transactional level, imagine the BI reporting problem you have. Imagine the data management and data migration problem you have, and just imagine the business process differences that you face in, I've seen one of my order management folks here. I mean, in OM, in payable, everywhere that you touch the applications, there are differences. There are differences in, and it may seem trivial, but it's not, particularly with regard to data management reporting. So it's been a huge benefit for us to get to this global chart of accounts, something that we're very happy we didn't sacrifice, and we're very committed to not sacrificing. I mentioned that we moved to the EPM Cloud. We were running Hyperion. We actually had very nice tools to actually do budgeting, to do budget reporting, the things that in an on-premise implementation were very effective, except that whenever we were doing scenario analysis, whenever we were doing any kind of ad hoc during the budget process, we would basically dump a bunch of data out in Excel worksheets. There'd be a lot of analysis. There'd be updates. And so now, with the capabilities of the EPM Cloud, we just went through our planning cycle, so I'm quite familiar with the difference in the process and the flexibility that we have now. If we want to change some headcount assumptions, if we want to change comp assumptions, if we want to move anything around from a scenario perspective, using kind of Excel extensions or other tools just isn't necessary. That capability exists in the tool, and it's been the speed with which we can rev and get things turned back around has been significantly enhanced. So it's been a real benefit to moving to EPM Cloud. Procurement. So this is another area where we actually, in our e-business suite implementation, had a relatively nice implementation of procurement, but the cloud's actually benefited us greatly here. It's really allowed us to enforce a lot of business and finance controls and rules that were a little bit of a challenge to enforce in our on-prem implementation. It's allowed us to really manage our supplier database much more effectively. And by the way, when we implemented the Procurement Cloud, it gave us the chance to scrub that data and significantly reduce that database. It's also enhanced our ability to deploy self-service applications in a big way. This is another one of those areas. If you think about places where you can really drive self-service, expense reporting, procurement, payables, and ideally that order front end are the places where big transaction volumes can take place, and if you can do it, there are big benefits to doing it. So this is one of those areas. And then finally, I neglected to mention that the December implementation included supply chain planning. Supply chain and manufacturing will finish the implementation of this summer, but supply chain planning went live in December. And again, it's another one of those areas, the business intelligence capability that goes with the supply chain planning implementation we just did has been an enormous benefit. It's significantly reduced our whole planning process. Our cycle times with our third-party manufacturing vendors has been cut from weeks to hours and days. And it's been a very big benefit. The other big benefit, and kind of related to that, is the reporting capabilities that exist in supply chain. It's basically a self-service reporting capability that's very flexible, and that's really kind of what's enabled that speed and the ability to rev and improve cycle times in the supply chain process. So, to summarize, kind of talked about all this stuff. So we got single chart of accounts, this whole integrated procurement process, supply chain planning and scenario analysis we talked about, and then self-service. Self-service, again, it's a huge focus for us because the more we can drive self-service in our organization, the more we can create scale and scalability and allow ourselves to grow without incremental cost.